Hello, friends. So happy to have you here with me today at Radical Joy. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time with me, well, I'm glad you're here. Each week, I'm here with you talking to myself about things that weigh on my mind and heart, hoping if you've been dealing with something similar, we can adjust our perspectives as you listen. Hey, if you're struggling with something that needs immediate attention, please know that help is available. Just dial 988 nationwide in the U.S. to reach the Mental Health and Suicide Crisis Hotline. All of us here at CLW Studios believe that mental health is a vital part of our well being. The more people I meet and the more places I go, the more I realize how important it is to make people aware of the fact that there is no shame in enjoying the parts of our lives that are incredible. It's time for some radical joy. And this week, the three fingers pointing back at me are for radical rage and finding the balance. Hello and welcome. I was pondering this topic a little while back. I put it in the notes in my phone because it was one of those things that just continues to weigh on my mind and heart. And if it is weighing on me, it can't be my journey to face alone. So, in order to perhaps explore this a little more deeply, I would like to walk a path with all of us today in regards to the anger and the disappointment, the frustration that is facing so many of us in just the way that the world is working, the way the United States is working in that relationship, and how it's affecting us on several different levels. Now, I can already tell that there are hackles going up and there are eyebrows raised, and we're all curious as to where the hell this is going to go. Fantastic. I want you to stay on high alert. Wave those red flags because today is about rage. We have talked about joy. We have talked about how to cultivate it, how to nourish it in our own lives. And today I thought, well, you know what? We continue and continue and continue to talk about all these warm and fuzzy feelings whenever, quite frankly, quite often here, especially lately, it's getting difficult to ignore the other side, or at least one other side of the emotion. And this would be anger, rage, all the emotions and the colors of it that lead in and feed into a feeling of ready to take your neighbor's face and squeeze it until they just shut up. I'm not proud of it. I'm not saying I am. What I'm saying is to ignore it, to instead focus all of our energy and efforts on cultivating the joy and the happiness instead of acknowledging the fact that people in our communities have lost their flipping minds doesn't serve us. It's not true. It's not authentic. It's not sincere. What it is living in denial and hoping beyond all hope. Not that I have any problem with hope. Love it. One of my favorites, that for whatever reason, someone will have a change of heart, even though they have proven over and over and over and over again that whatever new fresh hell is spewing forth from the mouth of that orange asshole, that for whatever reason, now this is the right, true, and good. Not having it. Today's about letting us know that whenever we see that, whenever we hear it or feel it, that is not something we got to deal with. No, it ain't. It ain't. And the best part of it is what we're going to try to do is figure out a way to sublimate this rage, this red, white, blue, hot anger that we have burning in our souls for this hatred, this bigotry, this anger, rage, and vitriol toward an idea of a group of people that make up such a slender amount of the population in one case, which make up a giant portion of tax-paying and economy uplifting population. There's another group of people. And how we continue to move ourselves towards reliance on a group of people who have proven to us on repeated occasion that they are incapable and inept at moving the country or the world forward. What they are is really good at playing a game that continues to benefit a very small part of the population. The rest of us are left to go kick rocks. Anger. How do I move past this? Because it is crippling me and my joy. It is knocking me in the knees whenever I'm trying to continue to climb. It ties my shoelaces together when all I want to do is get to the next ridge. And they're like, well, too flipping bad. It's going to cost you another $50. And we've got this very handy dandy set of shoelace clippers that will sell you for $49.95. But it's also a subscription. So you're going to have to pay that every year in order to continue to untying the shoes or cutting the laces that we will continue to attempt to tie while you try to move through this. How do we survive? We will. We will persevere. Why? Because that's who we are. It's what we do. We're survivors. We're strong. Our spirits, our souls, our senses of humor, resilient, sharp as tacks, razors. Okay? Exactly. The thing that we have to continue to find a way around is that there are people out there who continue to just chip away, or worse, take a sledgehammer to everything that we're trying to do. Most of us are just out here trying to live our own lives, right? I got enough on my plate. My beeswax is rich enough and abundant enough that I don't need to tend to no damn body else's. And I'm real tired of those of us out here who don't or haven't invested enough in their own beeswax and find the need to put their nose in mine. Folks, you best be backing the hell up, because I don't need your attention in my hive. If I did, trust, I have reached an age and a level where I would ask for it. Unsolicited beekeeping advice or counsel will not be met with kindness from here on. It will be met with direct. I'll try my best to stay as kind as I possibly can. The time for tolerating these kinds of behaviors is behind us. It is abundantly clear that there are people out there who only want to step on your happy. They want to piss on your parade and try to call it a rain. Please do not allow that to happen any longer. We are reaching a point where that is no longer serving us. We have attempted. We have opened circles. We have invited with warmth and goodwill, and people continue to walk in with poison in their pot to share with the circle. No longer. I'm over it. I'm done, and I encourage you to feel the same way. We're reaching a point where, if given the opportunity, there are those out there who would attempt to harm us. Turn the other cheek is for a different situation and set of circumstances. I want you to gird your loins. I want you to watch out for who you are, what you stand for. Watch out for those around you whom you love and know are struggling. Those are where we're putting our energy from this day forward until folks can get their heads out of their hindquarters and start acting like a member of the community again. This us and them bullshit is done. I'm done with it. They continue to force that on us. I have no need to have that be a part of my entire situation. What I also have even less need for is to let them make it so. And then we are the ones who suffer because we continue to attempt to build bridges while all they do is set fire and jackhammer the foundations of everything we try to hold dear. Absolutely not. Well, now, James, that's not very nice. That's not very Christian. That's not very pleasant. That's not very blah, 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 blah. Fill in that blank with any number of nouns that mean roll over, show me your belly, and let me thump it while I do whatever the hell it is I want to do and continue to hurt the idea of people, most of whom I don't even know personally. That's the thing that really makes me crazy. Had a discussion about this with a friend of mine not long ago. Like, well, what do you do if a trans person? I was like, whoop, I'm going to put the pause on that right here, right now. Chances are really good you're never going to meet a trans person in your daily walks of life, where you work, where you live, where you this, that, and the other. You may never see someone whose gender you question. First of all, not your damn business. Number two, who cares? If it doesn't directly affect your life or your well-being, I have no need to worry about that person unless they come into my circle and then curious, hey, what's the deal? What's the shakes? Can I assist? 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, 9,999,999 times out of 10 million. That person is just trying to live their flipping life. How about we just leave them to it? Well, what about the children? And stop. Knock it off. I'm sick of this excuse. I'm sick of this example. It absolutely blows my mind. Number one, not my job, not the community's job to raise your children. You've made that abundantly clear because when left to the community, we don't do it right. Great. You don't get a cake and eat it. You got to choose. If the community isn't serving your purposes and you want to do it alone, fine, do it alone. Don't come to me expecting me to change my entire life and the way I look at the world just because you can't have an interesting conversation with your offspring. Not my problem. I did not sign up to help raise your children. If you ask me to, fantastic. You give me the leeway to make sure that child grows up without hatred or bigotry in their mindset. They will be exposed to it in their lives. You cannot, quote unquote, protect them from their lives. When you do that, it is a disservice because you are leaving a giant hole in their existence and their education just by continuing to inflict upon them your ignorant, narrow minded, teeny tiny, stupid ass worldview that does not include the entire population of this gorgeous world in which we live. And my worst is the fact that you continue to raise up people who have been proven to be a threat and danger to their way of life, their safety, and their health, only because they wear a cross around their neck or a robe to church on Sunday. I said what I said. I make zero flipping apology for it. One. Number two, don't try to protect them from something that isn't a danger. Trans people are not a danger to your way of life. If a person walks into a bathroom and you have a suspicion about it, mind your business. Take care of your business. All these stories you hear in media and blah, 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 and hearsay, and so told me that their step cousin's hairdresser. Shut up. If you don't know it, if it didn't happen to you, I'm going to need you to leave that behind. If you don't know the source, and if you've got even a hair, a single eyebrow hair that raises when this person tries to tell you something, I want you to take that with the biggest grain of salt. I want you to take that with Lot's wife once she turned back to look behind her as they were leaving. That is the amount of salt I need you to take with that. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. Absolutely exhausted and disgusted. For those of you out there, that's as much as I want to do with people's children. You got that. That's number next. We're just going to move on past it. ICE. These absolute flipping thugs. All of this redirection of this money to take care of these problems that do not exist. We continue to shoot ourselves in the foot by going after people who are contributing members of our society, taxpayers. These people come over here and they work themselves to the bone, to exhaustion, through all manner of terrible weather to make sure there is food on the table, to make sure there is a roof overhead. And what you ask them to do as masked vigilantes, not wearing a badge, not wearing a uniform, getting paid to be cruel to these people who are fine, upstanding members of our community. Shut up. If you got anything to say other than that, bring me the proof or sit down and be quiet. I'm over it. All of this is stirring hate on nothing but conjecture. That means we made it up and threw it at your face and you were just gullible enough to swallow it. I'm done. I'm over it. That is not how we move forward. Why are you so angry about this? Because people are getting hurt. And they're getting hurt for no apparent reason whatsoever other than bigotry, fear, hatred, and the fact that you were born on third base and there are people still lapping you who are smaller, browner, harder working than you that get home before you do. Not their problem. And you're making it a problem, and I'm sick of it. Now, here's the thing. The people who probably need to hear this the worst may never tune in to Radical Joy. People who are normally listening to Radical Joy know this is wildly different than the normal content we keep here, but I need you to know I can't hold this in my heart and not say something about this. I go to my regular channels where I have a voice. And I feel as though it is irresponsible of me to express this in a way that feels satisfying to me, that feels as though it is leaving my body as it must if it is to not poison my soul. Because people who raised me, people who taught me how to be what I hope is a good person, have turned their back on the entire curriculum to follow a person in an administration that continues to pump out nothing but awful. And not just for these small communities, but for literally anyone under a certain income level, and they continue to cheer their support. And it makes me crazy because I know they're smarter than this. I know their hearts are bigger than this. But for whatever reason that I cannot seem to grasp or wrap my head around, they continue to thunderously applaud this entire bullshit. And there's a part of me that wants to go to their door knocking, and occasionally I lose. Occasionally I lose because I try to be the bigger person. I try to be the smarter, the better, the kinder. And there are days I'm like, I don't even know what you just said. You continue to scream this, and it doesn't make any kind of coherent sentence, no sense at all. And I don't know what to tell you because from what you've written, what you've said, all I hear is parrot, 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 fox, fox, fox. And I'm like, stop. Stop it. You're smarter than this. You're better than this. Don't compare it. Don't blame it. Don't try to put it on somebody else. All of this shrinks down to one teeny tiny little moment, one pinpoint in time where you and I are talking about what is happening right now in a snapshot. Don't give two hoots about what Biden did, Obama did, the Clintons did. Don't give a hoot about a Bush. I don't care none about none of that. What I do care about is what is happening exactly right now. And all I need you to do to get us to a point where we can talk again is to tell me with your whole chest that this ain't right. Don't care who started it. Don't care where it started. Great. If you want to throw that aspersion, fantastic. If I'm willing to acknowledge that, are we willing to say that we need to stop it? I'm just so unbelievably tired of every time we face some new horror because this is what I hated about last time this all happened. It's the fact that every morning we wake to more terrible. It disrupts our peace. It continues to keep us on high alert, and our nervous systems were not made for this kind of stress and awful and terrible. Well, just turn it off. Just put down the phone. Just don't look at all of it. No, 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 no. If your little pansy libtard snowflake can't handle all this, where do I look? It is everywhere. It pervades every single aspect of life in living in the United States and elsewhere. And there is nowhere to go. There is nowhere to turn where you are not inundated with the hateful, awful, and talking about hating people. Now, I don't give two hoots how you feel about the president. I really don't. You could love him, you could hate him. At this point, I don't care. I really don't. How you support what he's doing will tell me a lot. We were in Bali last year. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to drop an anecdote, and it starts in Bali. You're welcome. If you want to think me too bougie to continue, there's a pause button, or you can scroll right on. I'm over it. This is my day to just let it out. Okay, we'll go back to previous programming, regular content next week. Right now, I'm just too mad to see straight. I need to get it out because I want to be truthful in all of these things. I want to put it out there. People who are feeling this can't show up and expect me to be just rainbows and sunshine shooting out my rear end all the time. Okay. Most days, pretty easy. I got a pretty great life. Da 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 da. Today ain't that day. Starts in Bali. This kid comes in and he's South African or New Zealand. I think he's New Zealand. And he's got what can only be described as probably 5 or 6 women who very clearly work in adult entertainment. And his assistant, who is sort of like this oafy dude who's just there for the good time. I get it. We've all been there. Fantastic. This guy turns to me and he says, so after he finds out that, American, yada, yada, he's like, what do you think about Donald Trump? And boy, howdy, Did he come at just the right moment? Because I'd already had a couple of watermelon margaritas. I was feeling my juice. I'm like, well, let me just let you in a little secret. I said, I hate the man. I absolutely do. Please come at me with some Trump derangement syndrome, please. If you're feeling it, by all means, give it to me both barrels. Oh, you just hate him. Okay, great. Number next. You know what else? The sky is blue and water is wet. Anything else I can like fill in for you? I'm so glad. Yes. Hate the man. Hate him. And do you want to know why? Because what he has done is literally given permission to every single person with a terrible impulse and an awful habit with the way that they were raised or the way that they have been where they are for as long as they are without moving forward. He just gave everybody in the nation permission to slide back. And he is punishing people for wanting to move forward and trying to acknowledge the fact that we have a problem with it. And yeah, absolutely. Great. Are we good with that? Super. Fine. Also, what I want to say is Trump derangement syndrome works both ways because the way y'all continue to support all this hateful awful, just because he wakes up one morning and changes his mind and you're like, oh, so we're doing this today. Tell me that ain't deranged. So it has at least two sides to it, kids. All right. So great. Congratulations. I'm commandeering this entire made up condition and I'm throwing it right back at the feet of anybody with a red hat or a flag on the back of their pickup saying, you know what? The fact that you continue to contort yourself just to follow this bullshit, great. That's another portion of the same disease. Anyway, in Bali. I said, I don't like the guy. I think he's dangerous. I don't think that what he's doing is good for the country. I think it's good for a very small handful of people. I said, and that's just what I think. The guy turns to me and says, well, I think he's a bit of all right. I think he's got some great ideas. Da, 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 da. I was like, well, super. This was great. I'm glad we got, right out the gate. Now I know you're just a piece of shit. James, you can't say that to people. The hell I can't. The hell I cannot. We've had 5 years of this horse, nearly 5. Of this man and his administrations and their utter incompetence and ridiculous and how people have gotten hurt, how they continue to drive it into the ground. And if you've got a differing opinion on that, congratulations. That's just like an asshole. You're welcome to it. Keep it. Have it. It's yours. Wipe it yourself. I'm not here to do any more of that for you. You're either going to sit in your filth or you're going to learn to wipe it and live with it. I just don't have the time for it no more. I just do not. Do I want to talk like that to people? Of course not. Also, I think it is beyond the scope of good sense to look at what is happening in the world and think that this is anyhow a benefit to what's supposed to be the greatest nation in the world. Whenever I was raised to think that the reason it was great was because of the melting pot that it was. Liberty and justice for all. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Not the guarantee of happiness, but you are at least guaranteed the right to pursue it. Due process, being born here, birthright citizenship, so many of these things that they're just attacking because they can. And the fact, the hypocrisy of it just absolutely boggles my mind, considering the fact that if you look at the legacy in the Trump family, how many of those people got here illegally, continue to stay here illegally, and those children were not even necessarily born under the auspices of birthright citizenship. And yet, these laws only apply to poor people. These laws only apply to the people who will comply. And so I'm here to make sure that we know that I think compliance is a hock of horse shit. Okay? If someone comes at you and they are wearing a mask, no badge, no uniform, we've heard the stories, and I'm absolutely fine to go with some hearsay on this. If someone comes to you and tries to do something like that, you fight with all due diligence to escape that dangerous situation. If you leave somebody in a crumpled heap because they just wanted to be a mean ass something or another, I have no problem with it. If someone cannot identify themselves, if there is not a uniform, if there is not a badge, I thoroughly recommend taking care of yourself. It'll have consequences. I have no doubt it'll have consequences because that's what we're seeing. I'm encouraging you to take care of yourself as best you can because which is worse? The consequences of attacking someone unidentified, at least there may be a chance of due process in that situation, versus compliance and finding yourself somewhere where you may never find a way out unless it's in a pine box or worse. Please take care of yourself. I don't know how much of this is going to be okay. I'll be honest. The way that I'm talking right now, Carrie may say, we're going to have to throw this whole thing out. We can't use any of this. I'm trying to be safe. I'm trying to be something that is palatable for the platform so we don't get in trouble. I'm also really, really, really sick and tired of one group of people among several being the one that's expected to be responsible and kind and outgoing and reaching across the aisle and da 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 da. No, screw it. This whole thing in Texas with the kids camp, with these girls, these, what is it now, 27 that we found out that are dead. Don't make this political. You started it. You started it. No one here is happy about these children's deaths. No one. Nobody's happy about it. However, $10.2 million was offered to put in flood warning apparatus all over the situation because we knew it was a problem. Texas did not take it because they did not want it from a socialist, Marxist, communist, fill in the ist that everybody loves to throw around, but nobody knows what is. And so they put it towards the police force instead. Congratulations. And now there are lives on the line and you refuse to take accountability. Screw it. I ain't letting that go by. Nobody here's making it political. You did whenever you didn't take the money, whenever we knew that was a problem, however long ago it was, like a year ago. And then here we sit. There were steps taken. They were refused out of hand. Texas takes care of Texas. Bullshit. The hell it does. Texas like to flex and strut around like they got something. And what do? They let poor people die. And then there goes your Senator Ted Cruz off on another vacation. And he's out of there because he can't stand the heat in the kitchen. Sir, public service. Serve. And then they want to get up on a thing and say they didn't do nothing for us. They said, no, you refused the help and you have a convenient memory. Shut up. Sit down. Sit in the fact that your lack of responsibility and your aversion to taking help from the President of the United States and federal funds that were put in place to help you avoid a catastrophe like this was just something that you found unpalatable. And now you don't want to make it political. Fuck you. All of it. I'm done. You don't get to come to the table and holler Democrat or Biden or Clinton whenever it was literally offered with hat in hand and you said, no, thank you. Super. No one here is celebrating those babies' deaths. You could have avoided it all. We tried. That's what that money is there for. That's what that money is there for. Not ICE, not bloated military bullshit overspending. It's there to make sure that people who need that help, because there are things like children's camps in these places that we know need protection from natural disasters, just like flooding that just happened. But because you just don't want to, you stubborn asses, because you don't want the quote unquote strings attached to this money, may you revel in what you did. No one here is celebrating their deaths, but to come to us to try to make this a problem that you didn't make yourselves will no longer be tolerated in this camp. Not having it. I'm just not. And I'm quite frankly, I'm disgusted that you want to try to lay those babies' deaths at our feet, knowing full well that you are the one holding the weapon that is covered in their blood. No longer. Your accountability, or the lack thereof, stops right here at this episode today. There have been several other stumbling blocks to try to slow you down. I just want to make sure that you know, if you continue to support this administration, absolutely not. What is happening? What is terrible? Unfortunately, it's like a dead rat. It will have to be brought to your door before you give a hoot. Oh, we're just so upset this is happening. Oh, well, in an attempt to make everything better in the United States, some people, some innocents are going to get hurt. I pray it does not come to your doorstep before you realize just how dangerous this is. And I recognize the fact that for some of you hard-headed knuckle numpties, it's going to have to before you realize this is not okay. I don't wish it on you. I pray that you are smart enough to figure it out before it literally comes knocking your doorstep, before your granddaughter or your niece or your daughter comes up with a pregnancy that she can't terminate that is threatening her life because people think that babies are more important than full on people. Fetuses are more important than full on people. Blastula at 6 weeks are more important than full on people. Until you get it through your head, it just might come to knock on your door. The neighbor down the street who does nothing but tries to work himself to death to make sure he can make a better life for his family while trying his damnedest to get through immigration the right way, air quotes, and then he gets deported because for whatever reason it just took too long, or people rounded him up just because of whatever, and he wasn't asked, he wasn't given any kind of due process, he wasn't given any chance to explain himself or talk to a magistrate of any sort, and now he's hanging out in a hole that some of y'all want to tell me they get air conditioning in 3 squares a day. Please sit down, educate your ignorant ass. I'm done having any sort of conversation with people who cannot be bothered to look up a Google for free for 11 seconds to realize that the parenting talking points that they are spewing are wrong. There is no responsibility for the media to tell you the truth. And if your inconvenient truth is robbing people of their lives, livelihoods, or the promise of their pursuit of happiness, I need you to reassess. I need you to wake up. And if you don't like the way I'm talking to you today, tough. Life stinks sometimes, and this is one of those times. I am tired of policing tone. I am exhausted with all these people giving out the hateful, awful 24 flipping 7, and the rest of everybody else trying to talk sense or goodwill or kindness. Or so, well, I don't like the way you said it. I don't fucking care. I don't care. What I do care about is taking care of everyone in this nation who calls her home, wherever that is. Sick of it. I hope you're ashamed. I hope whatever I've said today, it makes you mad because there's going to be a freckle of shame in the middle because you know I'm telling the truth. You know it. How do I know you know it? Because you're not stupid. You're willful. You're stubborn. And you're ready to swallow anything that someone feeds you on an orange spoon just because the fella whose picture is hanging in your living room. Also, let's not even get into how crazy that is. Told you it was true after we know for a fact that mother's a liar. Good luck. I wish you well. It will continue to worsen until it affects you, and by then it will be too late because you will be too deep. Once you shuffle off this mortal coil, which is a phrase I have used often lately, I wish you well when you meet your maker. Because there is something in you deep down in the middle that you know is wrong, and you continue to support it and work tirelessly for it. And eyes smarter than mine, sharper and keener than mine, see your soul and know. If you're not a believer, if you're not a faithful person, great. That last little bit wasn't necessarily for you. If you are, you know. And you better get right, because you continue to dig your own path to hell and eternal damnation that you continue to threaten others with because of their political affiliation, ignoring the beam in your own eye. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying folks on another part of the political spectrum are. Don't get me wrong. Don't try to change the subject. What I'm saying is, if you continue to support this hateful and terrible, it'll come home to you. And I pray that you are strong enough to support it. Thank you for joining. This is not our normal fare, but I could not let it go by another day. I could not face another week of sitting here trying to be kind and good and sweet and precious and just let's come together and kumbaya. No, there are people out there who are actively fighting against it, and they need acknowledgement. By God, they need so much attention. Super. Here's your attention. You're screwing it up. You're getting yourself real close to a dangerous situation, and you know it. Your situation, your vote, your skin color, your community, the money in the bank, none of that is going to save you. The thing that's going to come closest to saving you is money in the bank. But I don't know anybody that's got enough to keep whatever's coming from coming for them. You better assess it. Me and my country got all warm up in your business today, and I make no apology. I would like to pardon a couple of words. I don't apologize for it. I'm just saying that because I'm hoping it doesn't get us censored. If this is your first episode, welcome. They're not all like this. I'd ask that if this one rubs you the wrong way, you might give us one more shot, maybe just one more shot. If this is not your first episode, welcome to my purge day. I just had to get these emotions out. I hope you will forgive me if my tone or my language was offensive. I don't apologize. I think it was well worth the rant. And here we sit. If you are the kind of person who reviews and would like to leave us a review, please do so on whatever platform where you're listening. We prefer 5 stars. If today's was not your taste, please maybe review a different episode. Send us your 5-star review and we will send you some swag in exchange. We have a brand new look here at Radical Joy for our 3rd season, and we would love to send you probably a sticker that you can put on a journal or a water bottle, a laptop, a windshield, wherever it is you put a sticker. We would love for you to tell your friends, neighbors, loved ones, people who are close, near, and dear that you enjoy listening to the podcast because we really appreciate it. All of us here at CLW Studios and Radical Joy want to remind you that even though we may holler, we love y'all.